What's happening, Raider Nation? I'm your host, Austin Raider, and today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Monday Night Football between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Green Bay Packers. Now, before we get into any matchups, let's look at the injury report. Now, for that very first big one, Jimmy Garoppolo, he has passed concussion protocol. He will play Monday night. As far as all the other Raiders, Davante Adams, Jacorian Bennett, David Long, they were all limited this week. I do expect them to play, but however, the huge blow for the secondary, Nate Hobbs, he is out, and that is a huge blow for the Raiders defense and the Raiders secondary, and you can bet the Packers are going to try their best to take advantage of that weakness in this game. Over onto the flip side, for the Green Bay Packers, we got guys like Aaron Jones, Jair Alexander, starting safety Rudy Ford, Jon Runyan, Luke Musgrave, Elgton Jenkins, and Zach Tom. All those guys have been limited, but I still expect all of them to play. But they're still very banged up. Some of those guys are just coming back from missing a couple games. They might be a little rusty. Now, the big one, the big one for the Green Bay Packers that is out for this game is Devondre Campbell, their linebacker, and one of their best players on the defense. You would hope and expect that the Raiders would take advantage of that throughout the game on Monday. Now, let's go ahead and look at some of the key matchups that I think are going to be important going into this game. First one, Davante Adams versus Jair Alexander. Understand, Davante Adams, his old team, he's going to want the ball, he's going to play, he's going to make some plays. Okay, he's going to make a statement out there. And what better way to do it against Jair Alexander, who is a very good corner, but he's just coming back from missing 2 games. So he's going to be a little rusty. You can expect Davante Adams to make it a little difficult on him. Okay? So other matchup would be the Packers passing attack versus the Raiders secondary. As I've said, the Raiders secondary is missing Nate Hobbs, the best secondary player on the team. He's the best corner we have. He's not in the game. The Raiders secondary is already struggling throughout this season, with the Packers kind of putting Aaron Jones on a pitch count at this point, and Aaron Dillon not as effective as Aaron Jones. Expect the Packers to pass the ball. Secondary is one of our weaknesses. We got a rookie out there who was limited all week. David Long hasn't really showed too much. Amik Robertson, he can get burnt. He can make big mistakes. And Marcus Peters kind of showing he's lost a couple steps. He makes some plays here and there, but definitely not the Marcus Peters he was years ago. So expect the Packers to throw the ball. Last huge matchup is Maxx Crosby. The Packers' offensive line is beat up. Yeah, they're all going to start. All their starters are going to be playing. But once again, Jon Runyan, Elgton Jenkins, Zach Tom, those guys are beat up. Especially their right guard, Jenkins. He just got back from an MCL injury. So expect the Raiders to exploit that, you would hope, so that Maxx Crosby can get past the line and at the quarterback. Now it's time for my step-up players of the game, where I challenge some players to step up. That's exactly what it sounds like. These players have to do something. I'm going to name a couple players, and these are the players that I'm calling out. You got to do something. First things first, I'm calling out the entire defensive line that's not Maxx Crosby. Do something. Help a brother out. Help Maxx Crosby. He's the only one doing anything. This offensive line, as I said, is beat up. Besides their left tackle, their left guard, their right tackle, it's beat up. All right, they're not healthy at all. You would hope and expect somebody on the defensive line other than Maxx Crosby to get after the quarterback. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Jerry Tillery. I don't care if it's Byron Young. I don't care if it's John Jenkins. Don't matter. Somebody besides Maxx Crosby, do something. Because if it's only Maxx Crosby, they're going to chip him. They're going to double team him. They're going to triple team him. And then Maxx Crosby going to have a much more difficult time. Someone has to take pressure off of Max. It's been happening for too many weeks now. I'm calling you out. Second, I'm calling out the offensive line, the entire offensive line. It's time for Josh Jacobs to get going. He had a decent game last week, but he needs bigger chunks. He needs bigger chunk plays in the run game. De'Vondre Campbell is out. He's their enforcer. Jacobs needs to eat. Expect a lot of runs up the middle. If he can get past that first line and into the secondary, he should be fine. De'Vondre Campbell ain't going to be there. He should be able to do something in this game. And I think at this point, the way the Raiders are built, I think it's very important that we run the ball to set up the pass. You got Davante Adams, who's been cooking every single week, and we have to use that. Okay, Jair Alexander, Rudy Ford, also coming back from the injury. It's not like their secondary is completely healthy right now, so we should be able to pass the ball. And also, because of De'Vondre Campbell, that middle of the defense should be a lot better for Josh Jacobs to catch the ball, and hopefully we could see a little bit of Hunter Renfrow this time. Hopefully. And then finally, I'm going to, not a player, but I'm going to call you out anyway, is Josh McDaniels. You got to call a better game. All right? No overthinking easy situations. If you got to run the ball, run the ball. If it's 3rd and 1, run the ball. If it's 1st and goal on the 1-yard line, run the ball. Okay? Run the ball, and you're going to get a yard eventually. Just keep running the ball. Just don't overdo it. Don't overthink it. Play basic football. Okay? You think you're the smartest person on the field? Clearly you ain't. Okay? Know the players you have. You've got Davante Adams. You've got Josh Jacobs. You just paid the man. Use them, and use them correctly. I really do think that's our only issue, is that you just can't call a good game. So I'm gonna call you out. Call a better game. That's all you got to do. Just call a better game. I know that might be hard, but do it. That's really all I've got for Josh McDaniels. Just be better at your job, and maybe we can win. All right. It's time for my Book It player predictions. I expect Davante Adams against his former team to have another great game this week. I'm expecting 120 plus yards and 2 touchdowns. For Josh Jacobs, I think he's going to be okay in the run game, kind of like last week. I think he's going to get roughly 55, 60 yards, but he's going to be a huge piece in the passing game simply because De'Vondre Campbell's not there. I think he's going to get 5 or 6 receptions for 70 yards. Finally, My wild card player of the game is going to be Michael Mayer. I think this game is going to come down to the wire, just like every single Raiders game. It's never easy for every single Raiders game. It's always a nail biter, whether we win or lose. I think this time we come out on top as opposed to last week, and it's Michael Mayer with the game-winning touchdown, and we are going to win 21-20. Book it. We're going to win the game. And everything's going to be right in the world. No, but in all seriousness, I do think for when it comes to keys to victory, we need to strike fast and we cannot let up. So many times we start the first or second drive hot, we get that touchdown, defense makes a stop, and then it falls apart from there. We have to stick to our game plan. Okay? I think a lot of times we try to do too much and we stop with what's working. Okay? I think we strike fast and we don't let up. We use the run to set up the pass and control the clock. If we can do those three things, we have a chance at the end of the game to win. And it's going to come down to who gets the least amount of penalties and who controls the clock more. And I think, in order to win, I think one of these corners has got to step up in a way for Nate Hobbs. I don't know who it's going to be. My guess might be Amik Robertson. Even though he makes mistakes, he tends to make up for those mistakes later in the game with some clutch pass deflection or a pick. So I think if anyone's going to do something in Nate Hobbs' absence, it might be Amik Robertson. But anyway, that's what I think is going to happen. That's my deep dive into the game. Until next time, Raider Nation, this is Austin Raider. See ya.